The human soul has a minimum daily requirement of entertainment, but listening to a podcast like you're doing right now, yeah, that doesn't count. Welcome to the world of MGM Rewards, where we have the greatest live shows on earth, the biggest names in sports, the best chefs on the planet, and the most unforgettable nights of your life. This is way beyond watching 20-second clips on your phone. This is all the entertainment you can handle and more. So join MGM Rewards now and visit MGMResorts.com to book your next Vegas getaway. Welcome to the show.
Trying to find your happiness this winter? Let Fiji Airways fly you there direct. Whether you're sunbathing or snorkeling, dining or dreaming, you'll experience legendary Fijian hospitality. Expect the warmest of welcomes in this Pacific paradise. Unplug, unwind, and relax in your happy place, Fiji. Get great deals on direct flights to happiness at FijiAirways.com. That's FijiAirways.com. You deserve this. Go from here to happiness, flying direct with Fiji Airways.
Steering wheel. Lobster steering wheel here. Give me steering wheel. Hey, steering wheel. Somebody tell him to give it to him. Come on. Whoa.
You like my bass? You like it?
How the f*** is this possible?
I'm driving like a grandma. Get that, Ralph? Did you hear me? From the radio. Ralph, acknowledge. Now come on, close him down and kill him. We've got a lunatic on the track down the Hanger Straight.
I am so annoyed.
Hello and welcome back to the Parc Fermé for podcast number 721. This is Todd.
No, Todd, not now.
AKA Negative Camber. Tonight, for your kind consideration, we're just going to share some news. That's what we do. We share news on those off-race weekends or through the whole summer because we don't shut down during the summer. We keep going. Before sharing any of that news tonight, I've got to ask you a favor. I need you guys.
You must convince the villagers that I'm harmless.
That's exactly what I need you to do. Tonight, we are going to cover some news, but before doing that, I have to introduce my partner in podcast criminality, the lovely, the redoubtable
Grace!
Grace, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Todd. I was going to say, you said summer, isn't it winter? But who cares?
Did I say summer?
You did, but I'm fine. I'm fine with summer.
Oh.
Today it's still sheet ice out there. I'm fine. Summer's fine. It'll be here Wednesday.
Yeah, my bad. I'm still living off of the postponed season from last year when it was summer and we had nothing to talk about.
That's right. It's okay. It's okay. Yeah. Like I said, it's been like snowy, icy here in DC for like 3 days, and Wednesday it might be in the 60s. So who knows?
Well, it was that way here, and then the snow melted today, and tomorrow's supposed to be high 50s in Fahrenheit, of course. Not centigrade. That would be miserable.
Yes.
And
yes, because anything over 30 is hot.
Yeah, it is. And for those of you that aren't on the old money system, we were during this recent blast that we got. We were what, negative 17, 18, negative 18, something centigrade. Yeah. It's cold.
Yeah, at that point, it's all just cold.
It's just cold.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. But I'll tell you what's not cold, Grace. What's not cold is the Alphas. Both the Alphas launching their cars, the Alpha Tauri and the Alfa Romeo.
Yes.
And the big car launches. Is it just me? Someone posted a picture of Kimi standing around in his racing overalls. I think he's getting dangerously close to the Jacques Villeneuve.
I knew it. I knew that was coming. They are getting a little...
Huh?
Yeah.
Getting a little baggy.
That's right.
Yeah, I noticed that. I got to see that, but the Alfa Romeo looked good though. Car looked good.
Yeah.
I think Antonio's man bun is got to be worth at least a 10th.
Man, he's got great hair. It's fine.
He does. If I had hair, I'd wear it just like that.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I have hair, but my hair doesn't wear like that. So
right.
Yeah. No, I think that maybe Kimmy's just like the rest of us gained weight in the pandemic, except Kimi Räikkönen, who just as Kimi does, loses weight during the pandemic, right? Like,
maybe.
Or when you have kids, right? He has little kids. Most people, when they have little kids, gain weight because you're eating all the leftover food the little kids don't eat. Not Kimi. He's losing.
No, he's losing weight.
That's
not
right.
They're drinking a ice cold Dr. Pepper. But,
Dr. Pepper, very nice.
Yeah,
Nice, change it up.
Established in 1885, Grace. So
it was a great year.
Was a great year.
Yeah, 1885. Yeah. So, so I often talk about how much I like Alpha's logo, right? Like they have the best logo on the grid, right? So they have
With the serpent eating the man.
Yeah, exactly. Which again, I think especially in a sport, that's the kind of logo you want, right? Like that's it. That's what you want to see sliding up next to somebody, right? Our car is so good. Our logo is, a serpent eating a man, right?
Right.
And so they also have this 4-leaf clover thing that they put on the certain branding of their car, like the high-end cars or the fancy cars or the the M series, right? They put this 4-leaf clover on them. And so they put it on the livery for the Alpha. And I like that it now looks like it has like flight. Like it looks like it has a propeller, because how do you make a serpent more terrifying? You give it flight.
There you go.
Now the logo's complete.
So we've officially moved into dragon category here.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's where we're going. We're going full Game of Thrones. We're just going straight on to the dragon.
Okay, cast a fireball spell.
Yeah.
Oh, D20, I got an 18. Woo! Double damage. What's the damage of that?
Yeah, especially, if it's aimed at Lewis, it'll be nothing. Right. It'll bounce off him right back to you.
Bounce off, man.
Right, because there's nothing. There's no stopping that guy. But
right.
So that was launched, and then the other
Alpha Tauri, yeah.
Yes, Alpha Tauri launched.
Now the initial picture, and I posted it on our Facebook page, that had this surreal picture of the car, and it had Pierre Gasly with, who's the other young man's name? Sonoda standing there. And Sonoda, there, I swear, I either thought it was a mannequin or a cardboard cutout. The sweater he was wearing is straight out of Christmas 1972.
Yes.
And I think my brother may have got that for Christmas.
I just think, and he's standing like this, like with his arms like this, right? Like that just makes him look more like it's their action figures, right?
I know.
Oh, Alpha released action figures. How cool is that?
He's standing with his arms out. It looked like Ralphie from A Christmas Story. I can't put my arms down. Yeah, it was pretty funny.
I thought, if you have a dog and you like put something on a dog, they kind of get this look like, what's touching me? What's going on? I'm just going to stand here. That's especially what Sonoda looked like. But they both kind of had this like, I'm just going to stand here. And I get it. They're doing the like blue lightning, serious model phase, right?
I don't know. What was Pierre wearing? Like a Sherpa jacket, or what was going on?
It was a very weird outfit combination. And I'm like, well, clearly neither of you picked this out. Somebody just handed it to you and said, wear this. And you're like, I'm wearing this. So that was great. And I don't know that helped their fashion brand, but there it is. I don't know. It was just very funny.
Now, color me reactionary, but I'm not going to be running out buying the Sonoda sweater. It's just,
First of all, you don't have like $20 million set aside for a sweater. So no, you're not.
It's true. Has anyone out there listening ever went to Alpha Tauri's clothing and checked out the prices of that stuff?
No, I mean, I told you, I looked there once thinking,
don't walk.
Maybe there's something on sale that I could buy for Todd. That would be a really funny gift. I was like, oh no, I need both my kidneys. Come on.
I had to take out a second mortgage to buy a Christmas gift. It's crazy.
Right. Yeah, it was definitely, your high fashion. So yeah. That was worth it for that shot. The only, I think they should just put like more like friends, Todd's, like they should have gotten more people, in on that outfit wearing, right? Like put as many of the crew members in this like weird high fashion garb that they don't wear. You could have so much fun with Franz Toast because everyone knows his personality. I mean, I've told my tale of my run-in with Franz Toast, but I mean, in some quarters, it could be argued that he's got the personality of a carp, right? Yeah. And so you could have so much fun playing off of that very solemn, very no sense of humor sort of thing. Right. I don't know him personally. He may be an absolute class clown and cut up, at a personal level. It doesn't seem that way. Toto Wolff, you'd buy that, but not. Yeah, you would. Toto, you would, but not Franz. So I'm thinking, dress him up in this ridiculously loud stuff, right? Maybe a leather bomber jacket with aviator glasses on, and just. Have a lot of fun with it. Go crazy. We have so many things we could do here. And so I just think that that might have been a missed opportunity, but
I think
I hope they show up in the fashion more often. Like maybe if we have a race at Monaco someday while they're both still at the team, we'll get to see that, right?
Yeah, right. That would be good.
Blue steel. I said blue lightning, didn't I? It's blue steel is the look.
Well, I said summer and not winter, so it doesn't matter.
Gosh,
we're off to a good start.
At least I didn't call him Carlos Perez, so I feel good about myself. So Auto Week they put out the tweet. So first of all, I'm never one to be like, oh, you took down a tweet. Too bad I already captured it. But that one I totally did, because as soon as I saw it, I took a picture of that. But they had like four mistakes in just like the 7 word title of the tweet.
Yay! Auto Week.
But my favorite being Carlos Perez. So.
Carlos Perez. And it was Albon lost his ride to Carlos Perez.
Yes, right. And so it was just like, oh man. And
Carlos
so it was supposed
Perez.
to be. It was supposed to be.
You like my face? You like it?
Yes, Carlos, we do.
So Carlos Perez 2021. He's my driver this year.
Yeah. I like Carlos Perez. I'm all for it.
So I feel better, right? At least I didn't tweet out Carlos Perez. But yeah, I meant blue steel.
Yeah. No, I'm notoriously known for my typos and transporting. Whenever I go to spell the word the, T-H-E, I always spell it T-E-H. I don't know why. I just get going on the keyboard and I get flying. And it's always T-E-H. So everyone knows when I post a story on the website because it'll have a T-E-H somewhere in there. It's terrible. But at least I don't get the name Carlos Perez in there. I don't mistake Sergio Perez as Carlos Sainz.
No, okay, so I guess the thing is, it was kind of like, okay, so you don't know who was at Red Bull and who left, but Carlos Perez is not a person.
Well, I'm sure there is a Carlos Perez, but he's not in Formula One.
You're right.
Yeah.
But I think that, and literally you're tweeting off a story that, like, just cut and paste, right? Like even if you don't know anything about
that's a well-trodden cow path, that story.
Yeah.
There's plenty of other stories about Albon losing a seat to Perez.
Right. So you don't have to really work really hard at
and
that.
It's not like Perez is new to the sport.
No.
Like Tsunoda. Like I can understand, because I probably will spell Tsunoda's name wrong. Because he's new to the sport and that kind of thing. So you can understand a magazine or something that isn't solely lasered in on F1, missing a name or spelling or something like that. But Perez has been around for a decade.
It was great. So then later they took the tweet down. I was like, well, it doesn't matter. I have that. Like people do that to like Kim Kardashian or something, like, oh, I have that tweet forever. Me, I'm totally like trolling Auto Week. I'm keeping that tweet forever.
Yeah. Oh, that's
great.
good. So that's exciting. Right. Yeah. Let's see. What else is going on in the news? Well, you will recall, folks, that it was a couple of weeks ago. I think we talked about U.S. races. And
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, remember I was saying about Stefano Domenicali was saying they were going to focus on their outreach in America and getting a more consistent, cadence with their Formula One coverage and promotion and marketing and all those sort of things. So we discussed that a couple of weeks ago in regards to a second race in the U.S. And on that podcast, I shared those comments with you, as well as who the leading contenders were for a second race. And in that article that I was sourcing was from Autosport. It was basically Miami and Indy. So Autosport ran a newer piece, and they were exploring this concept and came to the conclusion that the logical next choice would be, in fact, Miami or Indy. And I don't disagree with them at all on either of those, because, Miami would be a brand new circuit in a stadium parking lot. And Indy is an FIA grade 1 circuit, just like COTA is. In fact, Indy and COTA are the only FIA grade 1 circuits in the U.S. that I could see listed anywhere. So then I was interested in the concept of, so building a racetrack in a parking lot. Now, I know that I'm making that sound like that's tedious as hell, and who knows, it could be. Or they could really do it right. Who knows? Right. But I've often wondered, and I know some of you listeners out there have said, why are we doing this? Or why are we doing more street races? Why not go to some of the other great tracks around the States? Well, the reason is because you have to be FIA grade 1 to host a Formula One or a MotoGP race, right? So right now, COTA and Indy are the only two. But then I got to thinking, What if if I looked at the concept of upgrading an FIA Grade 2
Yeah.
circuit instead of building an entirely new one or simply running on the Roval at Indy, right?
Right.
So then I went and looked up the current FIA Grade 2 tracks in the States. Here then is our options if this was where we were headed down.
Okay.
Barber Motorsport Park. Good track.
Yeah. Good. Good.
Belle Isle, Detroit. That's a cool track.
Yeah.
Lime Rock,
Right.
Long Beach Street Circuit, which has a
Absolutely.
tremendous
Classic,
history to
yeah.
it. Yeah. Mid Ohio, NOLA Motorsport Park,
Right.
Portland International,
All right.
Road America, Elkhart, right? That's one of my personal faves.
Okay. Okay.
Road Atlanta, which is pretty damn awesome too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sebring, which is super cool.
Yeah.
Sonoma, which, Paul used to be stationed out at
Yeah, I'd be
Sonoma,
good with
and
that.
I've been around that. That's a cool track. St. Petersburg Street Circuit has a long Indy history, right? Virginia, or VIR.
Yeah.
Watkins Glen,
Okay. Yeah.
an oldie but a goodie
history
there.
there, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of history there with F1. Tragic history. It's where Francois Sever died. So Watkins Glen and Laguna Seca.
Right.
So those are all Grade 2. And if you were looking to upgrade a Grade 2 to Grade 1, those are our options in the States.
So I think part of the reason why they look at Miami is because I think if you are not an American, it's kind of like if you ask me, name 3 places in Italy, Rome would be one of them, right? Like if you're not an American, Miami is a place you want to go, right? Like it's warm, it's glamorous, it's got the beaches, it's got the people, right? Like go to Miami. Why don't we just go to St. Petersburg, also in Florida, also warm. It's not Miami, but I'd go to St. Pete's.
It's close
lovely.
enough.
It's nice. It's Florida.
Of those circuits,
Yeah.
which would cost the least to upgrade?
The human soul has a minimum daily requirement of entertainment, but listening to a podcast like you're doing right now, yeah, that doesn't count. Welcome to the world of MGM Rewards, where we have the greatest live shows on earth, the biggest names in sports, the best chefs on the planet, and the most unforgettable nights of your life. This is way beyond watching 20-second clips on your phone. This is all the entertainment you can handle and more. So join MGM Rewards now and visit MGMResorts.com to book your next Vegas getaway. Welcome to the show.
Life insurance. What's your excuse for putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think your work coverage is enough? There's a lot of excuses for putting off life insurance, but one big reason why you shouldn't. If the unexpected were to happen to you, who would pay the mortgage, the kids' tuition, and all the other bills? In a time of grief, the last thing you would want is for your family to have to sell the house and struggle to survive financially. At Ethos, we could get you covered in just 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Rates can increase the longer you wait, so no more excuses. Take 10 minutes today and discover the modern way to get the life insurance coverage you need. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethoslife.com/audio. That's ethoslife.com/audio.
And would offer the most in entertainment value as well as crowd access, and present itself as what they tend to call a destination city to draw crowds.
Well, if you wanted to draw me as part of your crowd, I vote for Sonoma. My second vote would be for Laguna Seca, but it's not as good wine there. It's a little
Right.
further. But Laguna Seca is a great track.
It is. It's a cool with the corkscrew and
Yeah,
all
yeah.
that.
So
Yeah, I like the corkscrew. The rest of the track, I'm okay with. The corkscrew is sort of the defining feature of that track.
sure is. Yeah.
Now,
I think-
I'm biased because I really like Road America in Elkhart, but it's not quite, Grace, what you would call a destination city.
no,
up in
nobody, no, right. Neither of those, right? And it's the same thing with I wouldn't go to VIR, except that that's probably the closest track to me on this list. And then I'm all in
right.
on VIR, right?
Right.
I've been there for IndyCar, so sure, why not? Portland's a destination, Sebring's a
and NOLA, clearly, New Orleans, that's
Yeah.
quite a destination city, but the track is just okay.
Yeah.
I'd prefer Road Atlanta to that. And Atlanta is one of, if not the busiest airports in America,
It is
ripe
the
with
busiest.
international. It is the busiest, right? Okay.
Plan accordingly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've been there. So it's the busiest one with tons of international flights. So getting to Atlanta is a snap from anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
And that makes sense at Road Atlanta to upgrade that. Sonoma to me is a nice track and relatively close to San Francisco. I'm not quite sure about the traffic, parking, and transport to and from. It's just far enough out of San Francisco to be kind of a pain in the butt.
Well, yeah. I mean, right. It's in Sonoma. It's not really made for a gazillion people.
Right.
It's made for
Yeah, but still, Sonoma, destination location.
Absolutely.
It's beautiful up there, right?
Yeah.
So there's that. Belle Isle nearly hosted an F1 race back in 1989. I almost said back in 1885, like Dr. Pepper. No, back in 1989, but that was scrapped. Watkins Glen certainly has hosted F1, and there is a rich history and legacy of the Glen that I like very much, as well as the track. I really like the track. Yeah. I do like Barber's layout too. That's a fast track
and relatively new.
Yes,
right? I mean, in the last 10 years.
Yeah, it's relatively new, and I get it. Birmingham isn't a destination city. Maybe it should be, Grace.
Maybe. I mean, but you're always going to have that problem. Like, sort of like Montreal, which has metro that goes from Montreal to the track, which is on an island. So, it's not bothering the crap out of the people that live there. Right. Most tracks aren't near. I mean, even Austin's that way, right? Like, you got to drive to the track. Like, most tracks aren't necessarily near the city.
Right.
So you might have that problem anywhere, but whatever.
Right. Yeah, well, and Barber wasn't designed by Tilka, so there's that.
Yeah, I've seen Superbikes. I mean, not in person, but I've seen the Superbike races there.
Yeah, it's a kind of a cool track, pretty high speed. There's a really cool onboard on YouTube of Ryan Hunter-Reay's visor cam doing laps of Barber. So if you'd like to get just go to YouTube and look up Ryan Hunter-Reay Barber lap, or whatever.
Yeah.
It's really cool. It's a high res and it's a super cool track. Very fast.
Okay. I'm going to put this out here too, because I've already made this statement once. And so I'm just going to make it again. I would also argue that Indianapolis is not a destination city. So why are we going to Indianapolis?
Right. Other than, Elmo's, St. Elmo's.
St. Elmo's. There's literally 2 restaurants in Indianapolis. So I'm just saying, like, if we're talking about destination cities, Indianapolis is only because it's Indianapolis, but which is like Monaco, but without Monaco, right? Like we only go there because of what it is, but it's not a very good destination city, if you will. So
I just, and this is where I admittedly, I'm kind of a snob. I'm just not a huge fan of Rovals. I never have.
No, I mean, I think none of us are. I'd rather a street circuit than a Roval, because at least a street circuit, you're near, right? And I said this before, like that was one of the things that was when the Indy races were in Baltimore for the 3 years, I could get my friends to go, right? Like, sure, they're like, how much is it? Okay, sure. Yeah. I'm not doing anything on Saturday. Let's go watch, whatever. So I think that you do have that appeal to being in a city, even though it's not as good racing as a purpose-built race course. But I'd rather that than Indy again, or any Roval, really.
Right. I'm doing a quick on-the-fly
very risky
research. Bear with me. I'm going to look this up.
All right. So I think Barber would be fine, and I think you could have enough. You just have to have more amenities around the track, right? That people could still like live and get fed, and I'm sure they have that. They have races there. It's not as if it's like nothing is around it. So I'd just go to Barber. I think that would be a good choice.
Yeah. Well, there's a new one going in. And the reason I was just trying to look real quick to see if I could find out the information on it. It is now, admittedly, I'm a little biased on this because it's called Ozarks International Raceway, and it's in Gravois Mills, Missouri, which isn't that far from me.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
And it's a super cool road course that they're in the middle of building as we speak. And I'm just trying to see what FIA grade it'll have. But it's got elevation changes, hills, everything. It's at first I thought, yeah, okay, some guys got some excess asphalt down there and they're late, but it's not it. I mean, it's a real deal. They're putting some serious money on there. So look up Ozarks International Raceway, and they have a Facebook page as well. I'll try to dig around and see what kind of FIA grade, if they're going for that and if they get that, but that would be cool.
I mean, if we're picking our dream track or our desired track, might as well be the one that's closest to you.
Yeah, why not the one close
think,
to me, right?
I don't know that I want to watch a Formula One race at VIR, but it's within driving distance, so I'm all in, right?
Right. So let us know what you guys think. Those are the grade 2. Of course, you could say, well, you pick some grade 3 or grade 4, but the lower you go in grade, the more money that has to be invested to get it to a grade 1 from a safety perspective. And so that's why I just stuck with grade 2. But let us know, of the ones we listed in grade 2, which one you like the best.
And I think the other thing too is, I think that when you're trying to sell it to people, I guess this goes back to the argument that I would always make, that we as fans care about what the fans want, but the Bernie Ecclestons of the world really don't care about the fans, right? That's not really why they're necessarily going to where they're going. And so I think that if you have good race someplace like Elkhart Lake, I'd rather go there and see good racing than go to Miami, which is going to be terrible. It's like, Caesar's Palace 2.0, right? Why would we want this? But you can sell it to people. You can sell it to sponsors. Because I remember that because when we went to Sonoma 3 years ago, that was the last year Indy was going to have it on the schedule. And that was one of the things, like they were going to add Laguna Seca, but, the world's greatest salad is not as good of a selling point as the world's greatest wine.
Yeah,
right.
Right.
Food and dining. So, I get that part of it, and that if you want sponsors and you want to get the social elite to come to your races, Miami is definitely a much better sell than Mid Ohio, right? But
I'm kind of curious because
good racing.
Yeah, you're right. There's a certain group of people that want the destination city, all of the amenities, and I get all that. Clearly, folks, I'm not one of them, but I'm curious what all of you think out there. And this doesn't just apply for U.S. races. It could be said about anywhere around the world. Does it have to be a huge cosmopolitan destination city, or is the track more important than that? And I think of things like Spa, Belgium. That's not like on the outskirts of Brussels, right? And I think of Watkins Glen. That's in New York, but it's not by New York, right?
No, right.
And so I'm wondering if that's as important. We talk about Circuit of the Americas. It's not downtown. It's in Elroy, outside of Austin. Right. Is that a bad thing? Like if we went to Barber, would everyone going to Birmingham be a big deal to you? Would you say, oh, hell, I'm not going to Birmingham? I mean, they don't have cool foosball place, Would you not go there, or does that even matter to you as long as there's enough hotels and stuff? So, yeah, curious to see what you guys think.
I think it would be interesting to sell a new track without that, right? I think that's part of it too, right? Not necessarily a new built track, but the idea of like, we're going to go to a new place. It's a lot easier to say, we're going to go to this new place and it's Miami, right? As opposed to, we're going to this new place and it's in Richmond, Virginia. Awesome, right? Like, the selling point just isn't there. And so it's one thing when you have someplace like Spa or, the A1 ring that aren't necessarily in like these high, great, Miami destination city kind of places, but they've been on the schedule long enough. But I just think, if you're just in this for the destination, then go to Monaco, go to, whatever. And we'll just go to
Watkins Glen carries a tremendous amount of panache and history.
Absolutely. I think so. And I think it's one of the crown jewels of the U.S. racing tracks that we have to offer, right? So I think the history's there. I think the history's there for a lot of series, not just Formula One. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah,
I think that would be a great idea.
But Jimmy Clark raced there, for crying out loud,
right? So I think that would be tremendous. I'm in on that.
I agree. All right, let us know what you think. Next in the news, Red Bull all grown up. They're making grown-up decisions over there at
Are
Red
they?
Bull, Grace. Oh, yes, they are. If you listen to Paul and me moan on and on about Red Bull, you'll know that we said it was time that Red Bull stopped gambling on one of their 2 junior drivers from the junior team as options if they aren't ready for prime time.
Yes.
And not every kid that they put in that seat is going to be Vettel or Verstappen.
Sure.
Right? So signing Perez was the way they should be going if they want to take the fight to Mercedes. And according to Christian Horner, they have finally grown up and started looking at it that way. He said, quote, "It was a tremendously difficult decision and one that we were fortunate to have time to be able to fully consider. The whole season, in fact," Horner told Autosport in an exclusive interview by Autosport, I might add. And it's highly unusual for a driver of Sergio's quality and ability to be on the market. So we just felt that we would be better placed putting in a more experienced driver alongside Max as we head into 2021. I think it was a grown-up view that we took to go outside of the scheme and to give Sergio a chance. Obviously, he drove so well last year, particularly in the last third of the season, end quote.
Okay. So if you're not, and so I don't think promoting your junior driver is always the right idea, but isn't that the point of having a junior team and a race academy and a junior, like, I just feel like every driver that's on the grid now has been through some sort of Red Bull junior driver program and or at the team, right? I mean, I get it. You shouldn't just promote somebody because that's what it's, I mean, right, it's no different than our job, any job, right? Like you only have 2 places. You can either promote from internal of your organization or bring somebody from the outside, right? And both have their pros and cons. I just think that, a blind man would have picked Sergio Perez to be on their team if they had the option and he was a free agent. Who wouldn't pick Carlos Perez? That guy's great. So I think that, I mean, that's a no-brainer. I just don't know. I just, Christian Horner should just stick to the straight and narrow. I don't know how much I buy this. We're grown up now. Really? Okay. Because it's just not working for you. And I'm sure that if Perez doesn't work out for you, you'll have some other like pithy quote about why, you should have gone with whatever junior driver you didn't go with.
Well, I agree with him. It is a grown-up move if you want to win titles. And having Mark Webber with Vettel should have told you that.
Well,
so
I think... Okay,
I was
I'm
just
sorry.
going to say, having Perez to Verstappen may also pay off in 2021 or even possibly 2022. If Max does leave to go to Mercedes, then having Perez as the veteran makes sense if you move Gasly under him.
I think what the adult decision is maybe to support a driver that you bring in, regardless if it's Perez or Gasly or Albon, for maybe more than 2 seconds.
Ooh, sorry. Ouch.
So...
Zing.
I don't know. I just think that I don't think the grown-up decision is necessarily hiring a veteran. I don't know what the rest of their driver portfolio looks like. And again, I think, why wouldn't you pick Perez, right? The guy's been at like 17. He's like Carlos Sainz, right? He has been on a lot of teams. He has a lot of experience. Everybody rates him highly, and he has a lot of fight in him. And I think that he will fit the Red Bull thing, which is, I think the bigger problem is that they just want everybody to be Max Verstappen. And of course, nobody's Max Verstappen but Max Verstappen. And so they really don't know what to do with somebody like Alex Albon, who's not Max Verstappen at all, as far as a driver or personality goes. So,
and I'm really excited for Perez because imagine if you were Checo all those years wondering if you're going to get a paycheck, struggling with the Force India, finally calling
Dennis
and
all of it.
The whole McLaren debacle,
right?
And then you're finally you just get in the rope. You have to start court proceedings on Force India. No one's getting paid, and then finally you get through that whole thing, and then Racing Point comes in and they buy the team, and I got my son, and then wait, Vettel's available. Sorry, Checo, right?
Yeah.
And that's brutal. Yeah, that's brutal, man. So now for him to go to a team where he doesn't have to worry about getting paid, it doesn't, you know what I mean? This is really good for him. You could say, well, he didn't get Lewis's seat or Mercedes. No, he didn't.
Wow.
But he'll be in one of the better cars he's ever driven in his life. Mm-hmm. And he's at a team that likes him and wants him there. And he's He's got a fantastic teammate, and no, I'm excited for him. I think this is going to be really good for Red Bull having
Life insurance. What's your excuse for putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think your work coverage is enough? There's a lot of excuses for putting off life insurance, but one big reason why you shouldn't. If the unexpected were to happen to you, who would pay the mortgage, the kids' tuition, and all the other bills? In a time of grief, the last thing you would want is for your family to have to sell the house and struggle to survive financially. At Ethos, we could get you covered in just 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Rates can increase the longer you wait, so no more excuses. Take 10 minutes today and discover the modern way to get the life insurance coverage you need. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethoslife.com/audio. That's ethoslife.com/audio.
Lucky Land Casino, asking people, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
Lucky? In line at the deli, I guess?
Aha, in my dentist's office. More than once, actually.
Do I have to say?
Yes, you do.
In the car before my kids' PTA meeting.
Really?
Yes.
Excuse me, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
I never win and tell.
Well, there you have it. You can get lucky anywhere, playing at LuckyLandSlots.com. Play for free right now. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
two veterans. This is a reason. There's a reason why Ferrari always went for two veterans that could win world championships. You know, and if you look at a couple years ago, bringing in Leclerc was a bit of a gamble. They typically don't do that. And so they brought in Leclerc, and there's a clash with Vettel, so you got a veteran, you know, and I'll let you draw your own conclusions of what you think of all that. But that was a difficult dynamic for them to measure, and it was difficult. So Red Bull, I think having a Verstappen and Perez is definitely a grown-up move. And this gives Gasly another year of seat time and preps him. And I also think there's probably some concern with Christian about Max bolting for a Mercedes seat.
Yeah, I think this was the smart move. I don't know, but I guess it's just the phrase grown up that I kind of take issue with.
Christian's adulting. Isn't that what millennials say?
I don't know. I'm a Gen X. What do I know? But, you know, right. I mean, Christian Horner's older than I am, so
yeah.
I don't know.
Right.
I just think it's not we're grown up. It's that we're acting like adults. And maybe Paul Charsley's right, and they should just send Helmut Marko to another race event. Like, just keep him out of the F1 business, right? Put him somewhere else. Send him to random superbike races, whatever you want to do. Just stop having him come to your team and your races, and you'll be fine, right? Like, something there just isn't working for them. And, you know, I'm a Marco. We don't need that guy.
I'm thinking there's a Red Bull lorry or truck somewhere in Europe that needs a driver. Yeah. Did you see Helmut Marko driving that Red Bull truck around, delivering Red Bull to
oh my gosh,
that would be awesome.
That would be great. And so,
how many 20 ounces can I put you down for this week, Ted?
So I think maybe Red Bull's finally using their brain, and if that's what they mean by adulting, then yes, congratulations, Christian Horner. It took you 15 years, but you're using your brain now.
Now, Grace, before you get too crazy congratulating Red Bull, remember when Ferrari had wind tunnel correlation issues, as did several other teams in Formula One, and we scratched our head and say, wow, how could you get the wind tunnel data so off?
You have one job, wind tunnel. One job.
Ferrari notoriously had that issue with their wind tunnel, which was off. Well, you can now add Red Bull to your list of teams that got caught out by incorrect wind tunnel correlation data, and that's a bit hard to understand when you have a secret weapon called Adrian Newey at the helm.
He doesn't use a wind tunnel.
No, but you do have Newey at the helm, or in the same building as the helm, or in the same country at least as the helm.
Can you put like die-cast models or like like things made out of clay into a wind tunnel? Well, no, then Adrian Newey can't help you.
Adrian's just got a 1/18 scale on his desk.
Right.
He goes,
exactly.
He just blows over that scale. You know,
it's good.
Yeah, he takes a drag off a Marlboro and looks good. Let's go, nail it.
I don't need none of that,
Yeah.
Viz paint, right?
No,
like
I
we're
need
good.
That crap.
We good.
I'm Adrian F. and Newey. I can see air.
That's right. How long have you been doing this?
Yeah. Right.
It's ready.
Well, here's what they said. Quote, "We've worked very hard to understand why we struggled for correlation at the beginning of last year." And it said when the season eventually got going, compared with what our simulation tools were telling us, both wind tunnel and other tools, something was amiss. So we learned a lot during 2020. And of course, the challenge now is to apply that to 2021.
I think the problem was Vettel. Not that Vettel's a bad driver, but just that thing didn't work for you. And so now maybe you have some better correlation data because Vettel's not in your car anymore.
Ah, okay. Fair enough.
I rate Vettel very high, but there's clearly something there between the oil and vinegar that is, Ferrari and every other driver except for Leclerc apparently. But, that didn't really work for them. But I also think the wind tunnel is a convenient scapegoat.
It gets a bad rap, doesn't it?
Nobody's feelings, because you're not like, oh, the chassis.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the chassis department's going to be very upset that you blamed it on the chassis or the engine or,
What about wind tunnel rights?
No, nobody cares about the wind tunnel.
Nobody
There's
cares.
no wind tunnel union. There's nothing going to happen.
Yeah, come on. Wind tunnel are inanimate objects too.
I think we should blaming the wind tunnel. So, see, it's not that you and I are getting old and our memories are going. It's the wind tunnel.
That's what it is. It's totally. My correlation data from my wind tunnel is off.
Not so good, right? So,
I'm going to use that one. I like it.
It's the wind tunnel. Just blame the wind tunnel.
The reality is these are brilliantly intelligent people, folks. And it just goes to show you that the margins are so thin.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
When you're measuring life at 1,000th of a second, any deviation data, and I'm sure there's always slight deviations, but any deviation of data can create gaps or worse, significant lap time deficiencies. And that just goes to show you how critical that data correlation is. And it's nice to know at some level that Adrian Newey is human after all.
Is he?
Maybe not.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
He wears his sweaters like this as well.
He does. And he does not put his pants on one leg at a time.
Great. He jumps into them. I just think that is, I don't know. I just think it's an easy thing to blame. It was the wind tunnel.
Yeah, it was.
The wind tunnel.
Yeah, and if the new Netflix series sucks, it's going to be the wind tunnel's fault.
It's going to be the wind tunnel's fault.
Yeah.
Or Will Buxton. He's also a convenient person to blame.
No, because Will Buxton, his correlation data is wrong. It was his wind tunnel was off.
There you go. Good job.
So the Drive to Survive released the date announcement. Netflix announced that the 2020 season of Drive to Survive would be released on March 19th, coming up pretty soon. Netflix was there for the season opening cancellation, and then again when the season resumed in July. Here's what F1. Now, bear with me. I don't want to get off on a rant here, folks, but bear with me.
What? No, that's why I listened to the show. What are you talking about?
Right. I know. A lot of people say, oh, the soapbox. He's dragging out the soapbox.
Listen, we're on what? Episode 742. If you're not used to that by now.
That's just stop listening.
Why are you still listening?
I drag a soapbox out. But here's what F1 official had to say about the Netflix series new season. Quote, fans will once again be taken behind the scenes to witness firsthand how the drivers and teams battle it out for victory in a year like no other, end quote.
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with that statement at all, in my mind.
Okay.
But the series itself is defined as a show that follows several major storylines during the season.
Yes.
The series has become very popular in the States, and I've heard from many of you listening to this podcast who got into F1 by watching the Netflix series, right?
Sure.
As I have said many times before, not one season of Drive to Survive includes a full race. And in many ways, some of the episodes were much, much more exciting than the actual race that they were at.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Right?
We talked about that, especially in the first season, right? Did they watch the same race we watched? Because I don't think they did.
Oh, my gosh, is Roman going to get 14th or not? He's out of the points. Nobody cares. But, boy, when you're watching that series, you're riveted, right?
Gripping.
This is my point. Why is that important? Because it's creating young fans in just the same exact way it did for me when I was a very small boy. It was the story, the politics, the personalities, the intrigue, the behind-the-scenes friction or harmony. It was everything wrapped up in Formula One. And yes, tech was part of it. And yes, great racing was part of it. But that was the core of it. We're humans. We like stories. And the racing is a catalyst from which those stories are created. So if F1 would kindly decolonize its head and realize that things like Netflix and things like Access and giving us, if Lewis is pissed off, let him be pissed off on the radio. Who cares? I'm fine with that. Let the drivers be drivers. Let the brands be the brands. Let the teams be the teams. These are the stories that capture us and draw us into Formula One. Very few are saying, I came to Formula One because I really was intrigued by the MGUH.
That's how I got here.
Right. Right. The MGUH. Yeah.
No, I think absolutely you're right, of course. And I think that there's a place for both. And I think all sports have that, right? Like, every great, you want I can only think of examples in other sports, but right? Like you want a Cam Newton, you want somebody that's interesting on the field and off the field, right? You want these personas that are bigger than life. I just think it's a lot easier in stick and ball sports because you can see them closely in a way you can't in a race.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
So, but I think that there is space, and now you do have all this extra space for content that didn't even exist 10 years ago, right? So I think the idea that you can have something on Netflix or 8 million YouTube videos on things, and you used to, if you didn't like even the technical stuff, like if you didn't understand what Craig Scarborough drew, you were like, I guess I don't understand why a winglet looks like that and that winglet looks like that, right? Because I'm not an engineer and I don't read F1 engineering, and so I don't understand, right? There's enough now that you can have great pictures. I mean, that's what I always liked about Steve Matchett, right? Because I never felt like it was dumbed down, but I could understand what the hell he was talking about, right? So I think that you have to have a balance. It can't ever just be, we don't want NASCAR, right? Like it can't just become so one-sided that it's just the narrative, right? That's what I was complaining about the Olympics. Like, of course, I want these people that have great stories. Who doesn't want that? I agree with you. That's what humans want. But the story can't outshine the racing.
For sure. Yeah, and I'm not arguing.
No. And I don't think you are, but I think Drive to Survive is, right? I think that's where the short-sightedness is, that I think people can get so caught up in the narrative when they don't watch the sport, especially because it's ultimately about the sport. Like what made Michael Jordan great was the sport. Now he's a great personality, and we still talk about him, right? So, I mean,
you can get out in the long grass and focus too much on Gunther's, F-bombs, whatever. I'm kind of over that.
There's never There's never too much. I'm so ready for the Gunther meme machine.
Yeah, it's okay. But that's all part of the story, and that's part of the fun.
That's going to be at least one episode, so get prepared.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But I do like when they do talk about some of the racing and some of the on-track stuff, and it's all part of the story. It's all part of the storyline. And so I've gotten a couple of emails from people who started watching F1 because of Drive to Survive, and they said that the reason they got really intrigued and kind of got into it is because of the it was the Renault and Red Bull kind of clash and the politics behind there. They were like, "Ooh, that's cold," and it kind of sucked them into the drama and the soap opera, if you will, of the series. And so that's kind of drew them in. And then they kind of was like, "Wow!" And they kind of understood a little bit more about F1 cars, and it's all great. So all I'm saying is do more of that, more storytelling, and bring fans into the world of F1.
I think absolutely. And so I'm sure I told this story before, but I went to see the James Hunt, Niki Lauda movie. Why did I all of a sudden blank? Rush, thank you. I was like, it was gone. My wind tunnel, not so calibrated. Rush. And so I went with a friend of mine to see it. And she's like, I hate sports. I never watch sports, but I love going to sports movies because you only see, if you have a 22 race season, they only show me the 7 that matter, right? Like that's how I would watch sports. It was always like that. So Drive to Survive has a bit of that too, right? Like you can cut out, for every, Russia or Baku or whatever race it was boring that season, we don't have to watch it. We don't even have to talk about it. We pretend like it doesn't exist, or we just talk about the story and not the race, which is also fine.
Right. Well, remember what I said the last time we were talking about this. You've got to take America to F1, not F1 to America. It's not like F1 tries to go out to America. You can't do that. And Netflix series does that. It takes America to F1. I mean, the other day, my father-in-law does not watch F1.
Okay.
But he texted me, or I don't know, sent an email maybe. And he said, hey, I've been watching this Drive to Survive, and that's really interesting, right?
Right.
Who knew, right?
Right.
And so that's what I'm saying. It's taking Americans to F1, not the other way around. All right.
Yes, right. I got into basketball by watching Inside the NBA, right? Like you have to have some humor, some stories, something.
Hashtag LeBron sucks. Right.
Yeah, only Shaq thinks that. It's fine.
Oh, okay.
Nobody else thinks he sucks.
No, I don't either. I just remember that was a big hashtag.
Of course.
What do I know? I don't follow it. All right,
should.
another
What are you
launch. Really? I don't know.
Yeah, watch basketball. Always be watching basketball.
Yeah, I don't know. I used to when I was young and played basketball. I was a big Jordan fan. Actually, my first real basketball hero was Dr. J.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
I will say,
awesome.
I'm going to go on a slight basketball tangent here. So, how most of the stadiums, just like we had with football, there's no fans, right?
Yeah, right.
So I was watching the Clippers and the Utah Jazz play. Because they're two really good teams. The Jazz is doing really well, and I like the idea of just watching defense. So they have Steve Ballmer, who owns the Clippers. He's like right in the end, right, like under the net, but he's just sitting by himself, like some weird super fan, right? It was great. I think that this is what they should always make the owner just sit at the end of the court like that. And Steve Ballmer gets, real excited, and it's just, it was great. I love just the spectacle of Steve Ballmer sitting by himself. Like, could you imagine if like Christian Horner got that animated on the wall or something? Zach Brown does. We all know that. So I think right? You need more Zach Brown kind of entertainment.
Everyone needs a Zach Brown bear hug. Everybody needs one of those.
So I just love the idea of I would keep watching the Clippers home games just to watch Steve Ballmer be his own one man like entertainment at the end of the court.
Right. Speaking of McLaren launched their car. And
yes,
Ricardo says that these are my words, his shapely wide hips are at the absolute limit for the cockpit.
I believe Martin Brundle once referred to those as snake hips.
Right, not a donkey's leg.
No, but I do look forward to some Martin Brundle. That's something they need to cover in Drive to Survive, because often I will tweet like, I know I'm not from the same part of the world that Martin Brundle was. Maybe I just don't understand. And people go, I live in the same part of the land he does. I don't know what he's talking about. Okay, very good.
I think a Martin Brundle slang dictionary would be good.
Yeah, something. Just or so many quotes. I mean, Murray Walker had such great quotes. Like I just think Martin Brundle was like, how do you come up with these things?
Yeah, they're great. They're terrific.
They are good. So snake hips, yeah.
Yeah, snake hips. So and Lando, this caught me off guard a little bit. Lando almost seemed muted and apologetic for his whimsical behavior.
Okay.
Now, he was like, no, I got to be more of a leader, and basically saying he's got to be more grown up and he needs to be more focused and all this stuff. And it was almost like that initial interview when he drives in the McLaren and he sits down, and it almost seemed like he was like on an apology tour. I'll be honest, I don't follow his social media close because it's kind of like watching one of my teenage daughters, giggle and laugh through a Twitch stream. And while in some ways that's sophomoric, it is reflective of who he is. And he shouldn't apologize for that. I mean, the maturing process is different for everyone. But if he's getting pressure to grow up, I guess maybe that's a little bit harsh. But of course, being an F1 driver warrants a more sober approach because you're driving a multi-million-dollar car, and I do get that. And he's got the honey badger for a teammate now, so that's got some weight to it and everything.
I think it's optics, right? I think it's hard. Again, it's no different.
Is he getting a lot of blowback? Because, like I said, I haven't been following his social media.
I don't think he gets blowback, but I just think the thing is it. So I face this. Like I'm a funny person, right? So sometimes I joke that people only invite me to meetings because at least it won't be boring. Grace is there, right? She'll crack some jokes. It'll be fun, right? I once had somebody say we were in a really boring course. They're like, "Oh, Grace, I'm glad you're here because now this class will be lit." I'm like, I don't think this class has ever been called lit before, but I'm glad I could help you out, right? So I think the idea is you want to be taken seriously. So it's one thing when you're the fun guy, but then you're in a meeting and you have to lead things. You need people to buy into your project and you need, and so I think it can be hard when you're the fun guy to then also be the person they take serious because it's not, those two things don't really, class clown and person I take seriously don't really go together. So I don't know it's so much that he has to like grow up, but I think it is hard to find a balance between I'm the fun guy and I'm going to be your world champion.
Yeah, and admittedly, folks, I haven't been following the whole thing closely. I don't know if this is just Lando coming to this realization on his own and saying, look, I was yucking it up a lot and stuff, but I got Daniel here now, and I need to take this a little more serious. I don't know if that's just sort of his natural maturing process, kind of realizing where he is, or if people were putting pressure on him in social media, or if McLaren. So apologies, folks. I'm just not versed in all the detail. If some of you know kind of what prompted this, let me know. But I just thought it was weird. I don't apologize for you are. You're a young man. You have a lot of fun. You're all about online gaming, Twitch stream.
But I think the thing is that, again, I once had a professor go, like we were at a conference and so a whole bunch of us went out for lunch or for dinner after the conference. And he was like, I always knew this about you. You were the funny one. No, you're supposed to say, I was the really smart one that you're going to put in charge of your project to lead the world, right? Like, I just think that it can be tough if people only know you as the fun person.
Yeah, for sure.
To then be taken seriously. And then, because eventually he may leave McLaren and he needs people to be like, oh,
yeah, he doesn't want other teams to think he's just some Yahoo kid.
Correct. And so I think we all go through it. Maybe all the class clowns go through it, but where you try to find your voice and how to still be honest and be your authentic self, but also get taken seriously because nobody just wants to be in a meeting because they're the fun guy, right? You want to be there.
I totally agree with you. I just hope he's coming to that conclusion on his own and no one's taking the stuffing out of him.
I don't know of anything publicly that's taking the stuff out of him. I
hope that's not the case.
I mean, because what is he, like 22 or something, right?
Yeah, something like that.
I think that's, I'm going to go back to basketball for a moment, but Charles Barkley said recently on Inside the NBA, he was talking about how
terrible.
It is terrible. It's terrible, Ernie. But anyway, he was talking about how his first 2 years in the NBA, he didn't know what the hell he was doing. And so it takes a guy to like year 3 before he kind of goes, oh, right, this is what the hell's going on. And even though as fans, I think of those people as like adults, they're younger than I am now, right?
Yeah,
like LeBron James is younger than I am, right? Even though I feel like he's an adult and I'm not, right? So I think that's some part of it too, is that even though we see Formula One as this like pinnacle kind of thing, but that it takes any driver a couple years to kind of like get their sea legs. And I just thought when Barkley said that, I was like, oh, right. We have to remember, right? He's like 22. We always talked about this with Jenson Button, right? And the Jenson Button years, and Lewis Hamilton had the Jenson Button years. Right. You're like, you're 22 and you're suddenly in Formula One and you're just supposed to try to figure this out. Did any of us know what the hell was going on at 22? We surely didn't. And why would these guys be any different? So I think it's just going to take Lando a little bit to kind of find his sea legs and find how to be both the fun guy and the guy that you take seriously and the guy that's going to lead your team.
A bit like Red Bull.
Being a grown adult. Yeah. But I think Ricciardo, right? I think that Ricciardo is also less the fun guy, right?
Lately, of late, he has been. Yeah. I would agree with that. I think he's still a lot of fun. I think he's still
but he's
a
less
gregarious
jokey.
guy.
Yeah.
But he's a little less jokey, and he did a 3-year deal, and I think he's taking this thing for real, you know?
Well, it has to sink in, too, that, there aren't that many 3-year deals left in his life either.
Yeah, right. So he's got to take it seriously, and he's got to go after it. Yep.
That's right. So
all right.
I think that's it.
Hey, also, finally, Ferrari and Shell have signed a new multi-year deal, continuing a relationship that started in 1929.
1868.
Pretty damn close to 1885. If
I
do
was so
say
close. I knew it was
myself.
18-something.
This podcast brought to you by Dr. Pepper. 1929 they've been together, and that relationship has delivered 22 titles. The focus will be on technology transferred to the road via mobility and sustainability. If F1 moves to sustainable fuels in 2025, Ferrari will certainly need Shell as their partner to really exploit those fuels and make the most of it, their new power unit. I've been if you've been listening to the podcast a long time, I've been involved with Shell and Ferrari on some of their things, and I've just seen that relationship from the inside out, and it's a terrific relationship. I'm glad to hear that they signed a new deal. So there you go.
Yeah.
Off to the races. All right, Grace, where are we? That's right. It's this week's fun/random fact. How about that?
The Slashies.
The Slashies. That's right. It's the Slashies. You may be familiar, Grace, who one Bernard Charles Eccleston is.
I've heard of him.
You know that. You know that name.
I've met that guy.
If you're
not actually met him.
He's the guy that owned F1 for decades and made F1 what it is. He's what, 90?
I was going to say he's like 9,000 years old, and his most recent
like
wife is like 25. Yeah.
Yeah, she's like 40-something and just got a year-old kid.
Yeah.
And 2 fully grown daughters with their own kids. So anyone, one Bernard Charles Eccleston, you may have referred to him and heard him called Bernie for decades now, right?
Right.
But that nickname wasn't always present. In fact, it wasn't until F1's only posthumous champion, Jochen Rindt, started calling him Bernie that it actually stuck. So if you're new to Formula One, check out Rindt, because he was one of the very best in F1 and was destined to become an icon like Clark, Stewart, Senna, Schumacher, Hamilton, et al. And Jochen Rindt was awesome. And so Jochen was the guy that started the nickname Bernie.
Wow, that is a pretty random fact.
It is random. It's a slashy.
It is.
How about that?
Did we come up with a hashtag for this show?
Oh, let me go to my notes. I have hashtag grownups.
Oh, okay, that's good. I like
in honor of Red Bull.
There you go.
Yeah.
And Lando and Bernie.
And Bernie. All 3 grownups.
Grownups.
Yeah. So there you go. Hashtag grownups.
Okay.
All right. Well, hey, we'll be back next week to do it all over again.
Yeah. Winter testing is in like 2 weeks.
Is it? Winter testing?
Yeah, isn't it the 12th? Isn't that when it starts?
Where are they testing, Grace?
When?
Where?
Oh, Bahrain.
I was hoping for because then I get to use my Barcelona soundbite.
That's the whole reason why the crime track can never go off the calendar.
No, I'm so frustrated by that.
No, they'll be in Bahrain, I believe, the 12th, 13th, and 14th.
Not good enough, damn it! Not good enough.
Good enough.
Because the first race is the 28th, which is why what Drive to Survive is the week in between, right? The 19th.
When is it?
Didn't you say Drive to Survive is premiering on the 19th?
Yeah.
That's number one.
Yeah.
That's in between, right? Winter testing has started, but the first race is until the following weekend. So you can watch the whole series.
There you go.
And then be ready.
And then be ready. There you go.
And then look for all that drama between
it's
Renault and
almost
Red
like
Bull.
they planned it that way.
Funny how those things work out, right?
Amazing.
But I'll watch it, and I'm here for the Gunther Steiner messiness. I don't know why. One more phone call to Haas. Who doesn't love those?
Yeah.
Because it's not like it's getting better. It's not like it's going to get better.
I just think Gunther running down the paddock, giving everybody the middles, I think that's good.
Like Yeah, like the picture of, somebody took the Mr. Bean and made it the George Russell meme. Like as George is passing, everybody's just like, that's it. That would be Gunther Steiner, right? Yelling at all these people. But I would just assign Haas a permanent crew because they were talking about, because there's only so many crews and they get assigned a team a weekend or whatever. I'm like, just have a bunch of crews, have like 3, one that floats, one that's with Mercedes and one that's with Haas. We're good. We got it covered.
It's perfect.
We got all their stories done.
All right. Well, hey, be sure to stop by the website, theparcfermé.com. Share your opinions. Just do it decorum and civility. Means no personal attacks. Also, thank you so much to all of our Patreon supporters. We are so grateful for your support. And we could not, and actually we would not do this. Thank you to Rayan for his recent pledge. I appreciate that very much.
As much as I like listening to my own voice, we would not be here.
That's right. We would not literally be here if it wasn't for our Patreon supporters. So if you don't support this podcast, find a supporter, a Patreon supporter, and thank them.
That's right.
Because they're the reason it is continuing to be produced. Also, if you like the podcast, go over to iTunes, give us a little love over there, give us a good rating. We'd always appreciate that. Again, we are recording these podcasts in video form, and we are putting them on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, and you can find us on YouTube. If the thought of watching 2 talking heads appeals to you, then feel free to watch that YouTube video. And you get to see interesting things like Grace's awesome T-shirt collection.
That's right. We had 2 cat visitors, so,
Well, see, I saw your shirt. It says, "What are you imbibing?" which is an old standard of ours, and that's why I showed you the Dr. Pepper.
That's right.
So
this is an old, FBC shirt, right?
That's an old, there it is, FBC.
I've got all of them.
FormulaOneBlood.com.
I am all the way from the original from the Arcturus collection.
That's right. That's right. It's awesome. So you get to see all kinds of fun stuff.
I have like a whole drawer full of throwback, F1B, T-shirts and all our incarnations.
Right, and you actually get to see all the little guitars behind me there. So if you're a guitar nerd like I am, get to see this. Let's see, my underrated guitarist of the week. Who was it last time? Elliot Easton of the Cars. This week, my underrated guitarist of the week is Jamie West Oram.
Okay.
Grace is going, don't have a clue who that is.
I don't, but I figured you were going to tell me some more.
I will. It is the guitar player for the band The Fix.
Okay.
Jamie is freaking awesome, and he had such an eclectic style and such a great style, and they were touring, and I hung out with them on their tour bus and had Coronas, and we got to talk. Super nice band, super good guys.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's this week's underrated guitarist.
Not only an underrated guitarist, but also somebody you've met. So
I have met him. Yeah, super cool guy.
Oh, that's pretty
really
sweet.
Liked him. Just a real tender guy, real sweet guy. So yeah, nice. All right, well that does it for this week. Be sure to come back next week, and we'll talk about this all over again. Well, I have new stuff to talk about. But until that time, This is Todd, a.k.a. Negative Camera, saying so long, Grace.
See you next week.
That's it, man. Game over, man. Game over.
I don't feel I've got to prove at all. I don't really want to prove anything. I started as an amateur with no idea or no intention of becoming world champion. I was curious to find out what it was like to drive a car fast, to drive on a certain circuit, to drive a certain type of car.
With Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Okay, round 2. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, oh, sorry. We were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right. ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.